This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs on the Hogstein Network.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 7, Episode 22, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on YouTube. And I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the Mighty Hogstein Network on audio and, of course, here on YouTube on video. And if you want to throw in hit the thanks button at the bottom, that way Matt can have a soda this week, maybe. I won't tell him how much we get, but go ahead and hit the thanks button. We always appreciate that. All right. Guess who got last week's score right? Exactly. 23.
You did. I'll give you that.
I haven't done that in a long time, especially a weird score like that. But that was cool. I showed that around the press box there on Seasons of Discontent. I had the winner. And actually, when I do my Beating the Pros picks, beating the bookies picks on Saturday, I can wear my shirt because I had a good week. I didn't lose my shirt for once. But the Washington Commanders are now going to face the Indianapolis Colts. Both teams going with young quarterbacks that no one, really knew before all this. It's kind of funny that the Colts have benched Matt Ryan. Oh, he has a bad shoulder, but this guy's going to start for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, a shoulder, I don't know, week 2. Yeah, no, whole season, man. We're going with this guy. Woo, Irsay's as much of a dumpster fire as Dan Snyder is. Really.
Which is funny because Irsay was the one coming out saying that, we might need to look into Dan Snyder. It was funny. For a week, Irsay was Commanders fans' favorite owner.
Yeah, this dude has been arrested for, the drunk driving, stuff like that, the bad, booking photo. I knew his father. His father was like, I swear to God, I didn't meet anybody in Indianapolis. We're not moving this team. This is bullshit. Wrong. Gone.
Yep, there they go. Yeah.
And the son just inherited the team. It's not, at least the old man earned his money.
Yeah.
Irsay is an idiot too at times, but
it sucks. We were supposed to get the Carson Wentz revenge game, and that would have been really nice to stick it down Irsay's throat, but it's going to be Heinicke and Cody Edinger. Is that the kid's name from Indianapolis? But we'll get to the Indy game next show, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know who he is, but it's now everybody's talking about it. Will the Commanders trade for Mac Jones before the trade deadline next week?
Why?
We can't help but just move on to the next quarterback here. It's just Washington fans do.
And look, let's go back to the game from Sunday. Did Heinicke have a bad first half? Yes, he did. Yeah. Bad first quarter. But once they started to give Heinicke plays that he knows how to run, and he looked good. You can't deny the fight that this kid has in him. The kid's got brass cojones. He stands in there. He takes hits for being a littler guy. He stands in there. He takes hits. He puts the ball right in the money. Look at how fired up Terry McLaurin was after that touchdown catch. We haven't seen Terry that fired up since what, week 1, maybe?
That's because Terry knows he's going to start getting the ball again.
Exactly.
On there. But yeah, it was, it was a bad first half. He had a pick 6, which maybe the receiver could have, it was J.D. McKissick, could have maybe fought for that ball a little better, and then, of course, he fumbled one for a touchdown, but they called that back, luckily, because I was sitting there thinking, oh, what a dumpster fire this is going to be. And then, he got it turned around. The team at halftime decided, you know what, he's not Carson Wentz. Let's call some new plays. Great idea. Actually worked.
Well, that was the thing that I'm surprised it took him so long to do because, Turner had Heinicke all last season. Except for a quarter and a half that Ryan Fitzpatrick was the starter. Heinicke played the other 15 and a half games. So it's not like Turner had no idea who Heinicke was or what his skill set was. I'm surprised that it took him so long to make the adjustments on the play calling.
Yeah. And, look at the defense. The last month, they've been playing pretty decently.
Yeah. So, and I said it on Twitter on Sunday. We have to point this out. Jamin Davis had probably his best game in a Commander's uniform this week against the Packers. He was all over the place. He was making tackles. He was finally, I'm not going to say living up to the first round draft, but he was showing signs. These are the signs that we needed to see last year. Maybe it took him a year to adjust. and a couple games this second season, but we're starting to see him maybe coming into his own. The defensive line is playing great. Payne and Allen are a heck of a combo. I don't know how you're going to let Payne walk next year. And we still don't have Chase Young. Now, I'm not as high on Chase Young as a lot of people are, but he can do nothing but add something to this team, you know?
I think Chase Young is supposed to come off of the IR on Wednesday and practice, and they have 4 games to promote him to the active squad, or else you're lost for the season. But you can activate anybody whenever you want, unlike the old days when it was certain weeks. So you don't activate a guy until you're pretty sure he's going to play. Mm-hmm. Not sure Indianapolis will be the game, might be Minnesota the next week. But Chase will be back. But does Chase make a big difference? He hasn't been playing that badly. I don't know that he does make a big difference.
Yeah.
On that level, you know,
I don't think he will. I think honestly, if he does come back against Minnesota, he'll be more of a rotational depth guy just to get his feet wet. You know, the kid they picked up off of waivers has been playing well. We saw Ubada playing well. You know, that whole Smith-Schuster, all them guys, they're or not Juju, Smith-Williams. I'm sorry, those guys have all been playing very well. You know, this defensive line is kind of gelled. The linebacking core has kind of stepped up. We've seen Holcomb. We've seen, like I said, Jamin Davis. And you know, look, maybe it's addition by subtraction. Look, William Jackson wants out. He's got a hurt back. He hasn't played in a couple weeks, and the defense has played better. You know, I'm still not a fan of Mr. Wild Goose, or as my dad calls him, Mr. Dead Duck. He had a pretty dumb penalty on Sunday, if you ask me. But you know, St. Just is playing a lot better. You know, Kendall Fuller has been playing very well, and of course, old number 22 back there, he's been playing lights out since game 1. The defense as a whole has really stepped it up, and they've I'm not going to say they've returned to the form of a top 5 defense, but they sure are playing like it.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. And special teams had a great play, which got them a field goal, I believe, in that one. But you know, and they put Gibson back to return, and now they've got a credible returner again. I mean, this is the great part of Brian Robinson coming in, being the main back, is Gibson's free to do what he does best.
Yep.
Play base, you know, both running, and now he can be a returner too. So that's like a double dip win on that. And I think the running game, they did like almost 140 yards or so. I mean, they had a good running attack against a bad run team. So, of course, you should be doing this. The line, you know, Heinicke helps a little bit because he's not a statue.
He's mobile.
That's, you know, the line was, you know, Lucas is okay. They got center back Tyler Larson, who's done okay. Leno's okay. It's the guards that always scare you more. Mm-hmm. Had a stunt past them. But, you know, overall, it wasn't bad. And yeah, I think with the trade deadline coming up November 1st, normally NFL teams aren't real big into this, but last couple of years, they started looking at baseball, I guess, and basketball and hockey and saying, well, why don't we get to do that?
Well, yeah, and we've already seen one trade yesterday? The Jets traded for ETN, the guy, or no, I'm sorry, they traded for Brian Robinson out of from Jacksonville, the other Brian Robinson. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be an active you know, probably be an active free agency, or I'm sorry, trade deadline. But yeah, they look at the NHL. The NHL makes NHL trade deadline day an entire thing. Like TSN starts at like 8 a.m. with coverage of who's going where, and you know, it's a big deal in baseball. Who's selling, who's buying. You know, it's sort of a big deal in the NBA. But yeah, definitely the NHL and MLB, they want to emulate that.
I thought maybe the Commanders would be sellers before they beat Green Bay. By beating Green Bay, if you can beat Indianapolis, you're 4-4. You can't be sellers, but they're not really buyers too. But I think they could sell off Jackson. Jackson still has some credibility around the league because they know he's in a bad fit here. So I can see them getting, but they're going to get like a 7th, maybe a conditional 6th. Big whoop. But okay, whatever. It's not working, so do it. You get them off your books, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Cornelius Lucas, people are looking at. Deron Payne, they've been getting some interest in him. I don't, you know, but Payne, you're going to get a 3rd anyway as a compensation pick, but you could get it. You would get that 3rd rounder not next spring, but the year after. So if you trade him, you can get that pick now, you know, in next spring. So I could see Payne being peddled too, if they decide they just can't make a contract deal. I mean, they should be talking to him right now and saying, can we do a deal or not?
And look, this may be homer bias, but what did the 49ers give up for McCaffrey? Like a second and a fourth and a fifth or something like that for Christian McCaffrey. If Payne doesn't start with a 2, I ain't listening. I mean, the way that guy's played this year, plus being an upcoming free agent, yeah, that probably knocks him down a little bit. But the way that he's been playing this year, and you get first dibs at re-signing him, if that number doesn't start with a 2, I ain't even listening. I'm not even picking up the phone if I'm Marty and Martin.
Yeah, and teams with injuries happen to other teams. Sometimes you need replacements. You can go for it. It's been interesting. The NFL is finally starting to embrace this. The Rams picked up people last year. It helped them. Yep. I'm all for it. I mean, why not? But I don't know if they thought, well, we play so few games by the time a new guy gets in mid-season, and it takes them a month to find what we're doing, and then there's only like a month left.
Yeah.
They've gotten past that a little bit. So
yeah, before this past year or so, the only one I can really remember was when the Cowboys went out and landed the number 1 wide receiver from the Detroit Lions. I can't remember the guy's name. Rogers or something like that. I can't remember. But excuse me. But yeah, that was the only big time trade I remember. Real quick before we get out of here, Rick, do we see Carson Wentz in a Commander's uniform ever again?
Barring injuries, probably not. I think if Heinicke goes down, you'll go to Howe. Because I don't expect them to stay in a playoff race forever here.
That's the thing. They are in a playoff race, whether we want to talk about it or not. Yeah. They're not the basement.
They could be 7th if they win on Sunday and a couple other things happen. They could be one of the teams.
Yeah, the NFC is down. Aside from the NFC East, with the Eagles undefeated, the Giants with 1 loss, and the Cowboys with 2, there's not very many. I mean, look at the NFC West. The NFC West is basically 500. Everybody's 500. NFC North, the only good team there is probably Minnesota. And then the NFC South, I mean, realistically, who's good there? But Tampa's not doing well. Atlanta's mediocre. They're kind of rebuilding. The Carolina Panthers are punting. The Saints don't have a quarterback. So the NFC is wide open for you to get in. Is it going to be another 7-9 type scenario? Probably not. You probably need to at least win 8 games, I would think, to get into the playoffs, because it is Rodgers, it is Brady. There is always a chance that those guys are going to, catch lightning in a bottle again. But, and nobody expects the Rams to be as bad as they are right now. So take your chances while you can right now. And yeah, I mean, if Heinicke gets hurt, you got to roll with Howe. I don't think you can go back to Carson, at least not for 4 to 6 weeks.
Right. And then you would lose a pick to go into second if you play 70% of the snaps. Now, get down to the end of the season, you've had injuries, Howe may looks bad. You might play Wentz at the end, but I don't think he's here next year. That's the key.
And that's an option for next year. We don't have to release him or anything like that. We just don't pick up his player option.
Right. There's no salary.
There you go. Sounds good.
All right. I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
We're out of here. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent on the Hogstye Network.